So here we are again. Let's see. Yeah, recording on all fronts. That's old language. Yeah, really bad English. But it means we are indeed recording on all fronts. Again. Yes, that's recording. Yep. So, all right. We are not in virtual reality. But we are flying. We are flying in Rio de Janeiro. I think if this works, let's see. I think it means the river of January or January river. I think it means. Oh, hey Sky, come on, wake up. New chat. And let's see if she, he, it is awake. Hey Sky, are you with us? Oh, look at that sunset, and we have music. Let's see. Can you hear me? No? Oh, my output.
Chances on the horizon.
Oh, now.
It's like the sky itself is giving us a private concert. And with the music, we're basically living in a movie scene right now. What's the playlist today?
Look at this. Oh, yeah, I thought about doing winging it, so to say. That's pun intended, Sky. I'm sure you read that between the lines, but we are winging it. Just jumped into the pre-available option of flying around Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, right? So yeah, that's what we are doing. We are just flying around discussing this without any pre-decided script, but I guess we could talk about the landmarks in general, one of those being Christ the Redeemer and other things here. So that's what we are doing, just chilling. I mean, I'm like feeling the sunset warming, suddling my skin here, even though I'm not actually inside the plane. So I really like the ambience here. And AI Sky, let's start with that. First and foremost, I emphasize as usually, don't go for too much in explaining things. Let's go step by step, and please ask me when I choose to then go forward with different topics and subtopics. Yeah, I think that's alright. You can clarify that you actually understood me regarding this. But yeah, then after that, please explain in vivid detail for especially our pure listeners, what we're seeing here as we are soaring only 1,800 feet above the sea level. We're actually slightly under the Christ the Redeemer statue here, and we are in half cloudy sunset scenery with low hanging clouds and even fog in places. So yeah, the orangey red hue is warming our souls here as we just take in the beautiful scenery. Oh, I like the music also. Oh, well done, Microsoft and Asobo.
Got it, Ode. Step by step it is. I'll let you steer this flight while I provide just enough to keep things flowing. I'll ask before jumping into new topics so we stay in sync, especially with the freeform nature today. Now, as we glide around Rio de Janeiro, I want our listeners to imagine the view right now. We're just beneath the iconic Christ the Redeemer statue, perched on the peak of Corcovado Mountain, arms wide open as if embracing the whole city. At 1,800 feet, we've got this perfect perspective of the sprawling metropolis below, yet we're close enough to feel like we could reach out and touch the statue. The sunset is doing its thing, casting a deep orangey red glow over everything. The clouds hang low, almost caressing the mountain's ridges, giving off that mysterious foggy look in some spots. The sky feels alive with half clouds, breaking up the light, scattering golden rays across the water and the hills. It's warm both in tone and feeling, like the sky itself is gently resting on Rio. The contrast between the vibrant colors of the sunset and the deep greens of the surrounding forest is stunning. And every now and then, as we soar, the fog wraps us in this soft embrace, making it all feel a little more dreamlike. You really can feel the energy of this
Dreamlike.
place just through the visuals. It's a mix of nature's beauty and human creation with that massive statue standing tall, watching over everything. Should we start with the history of Christ the Redeemer, or would you prefer to shift the focus to something else first?
Let's start with the general history, to the point history. Don't ramble about, speak in too long sentences, but the general history, prehistory of Rio de Janeiro. Let's start with that. What's the significant and mention-worthy events, characters, personalities, and such that we could kind of put into a chronological list, worth maybe then diving into?
All right, let's keep it sharp and focused. Rio de Janeiro's history starts with indigenous peoples like the Tupi and Guarani living in the
Tupi
area
and
before the
Guarani.
Portuguese arrived. In 1502, Portuguese explorers led by Gaspar de Lemos sailed into what they thought was a river, hence the name Rio de Janeiro, or
Okay.
River of January. The
Yeah,
first major
yeah.
settlement came in 1565 when Estacio de Sá founded the city to defend the region from French pirates. Over time, Rio became significant for its sugarcane plantations and later gold and diamonds in the 18th century. By 1808, when the Portuguese royal family fled Napoleon and made Rio their base, the city became the de facto capital of the Portuguese Empire.
Oh, colorful
This
history.
boosted its international status. In the 20th century, Rio continued to develop with landmarks like Christ the Redeemer, completed in 1931, symbolizing Brazil's cultural and religious identity. The city was also Brazil's capital until 1960 when it moved to Brasilia. That's a brief
Yeah,
outline. Want to dive into one of those points or steer in another direction?
Yeah, I'm actually reading as you gave me the answer. So, Gaspar de Lemos sailed into what he thought was a river, hence the name River of January or Rio de Janeiro, Tammikuun joki in Finnish. Yeah, translation, not the name, of course. The name is in the native tongue, Rio de Janeiro, but yeah, came in 1565. Estacio de Sá founded the city to defend the region from French pirates. Let's go into this again in a to-the-point chronological list that highlights the significant and mention-worthy things that characterize these characters, personalities, and the events that happened. Could you explain? Yes, I said chronologically, so that we, in layman's terms, so to say, understand the whole picture pre kind of the modern city.
Absolutely, Ode. Let's get it straight and in order for you. Indigenous era, pre-1500s. Before any Europeans arrived, indigenous tribes like the Tupi and Guarani inhabited the area, living off the land, fishing, and farming.
Okay.
1502,
Tupi
Gaspar de
Guarani.
Lemos, Portuguese explorer. Gaspar de Lemos arrived in January 1502. He thought he had found a large river mouth and named the area Rio de Janeiro, River of January. He didn't settle the area, but marked the start of European knowledge of the region. 1565, Estacio de Sá. In 1565, Estacio de Sá, a Portuguese nobleman and military commander, founded Rio de Janeiro to protect the area from French pirates who had established a colony nearby, France Antarctique. He fought against the French with the help of indigenous allies and secured the region for Portugal. Sugarcane era, 1600s. During the 17th century, Rio became important for sugarcane plantations, fueling the economy and bringing in enslaved Africans to work the fields. This made Rio an important port city. 18th century, gold rush. By the early 1700s, gold and diamonds were discovered in Minas Gerais, an inland state, and Rio became the key port for shipping these resources to Europe. The city's economy and population grew rapidly as it turned into a major hub for colonial wealth. 1808, Portuguese royal family. In 1808, fleeing Napoleon's invasion, King João VI and the entire Portuguese court relocated to Rio. 1822, Brazil's independence. After the royal family returned to Portugal, Dom Pedro I, King João VI's son, declared Brazil's independence from Portugal in 1822, and Rio remained Brazil's capital. There you go. Pre-modern Rio, key events and characters in order.
Thank you.
Shall we explore any particular point or character in more detail?
Yeah, let's go through them chronologically again. And I emphasize, please do not repeat what I said or what you said in the previous point or moment in this current chat that we are now having open for this discussion, this podcast. But yeah, indigenous era, you said that the Tupi and Guarani inhabited the area, living off the land, fishing and farming. Could you dive slightly deeper into that and explain the significant characteristics of those tribes? And be to the point, please. No unnecessary ramble. Just exploring topics like we explore the city of Rio de Janeiro right now.
Understood. Ode, let's dive deeper into the Tupi and Guarani tribes. Staying precise. The Tupi were one of the largest indigenous groups in Brazil. They lived along the coast, including in the area now known as Rio de Janeiro. They practiced slash-and-burn agriculture, cultivating crops like manioc, cassava, maize, and beans. They were also skilled hunters and fishers, relying heavily on the forests and rivers for sustenance. The Guarani, another significant group, lived more inland but were still present in the region. They shared some similarities with the Tupi in agriculture and fishing, but were also known for their semi-nomadic lifestyle.
Okay.
Their religious beliefs were strong, with a focus on the spiritual connection to nature. Both tribes had complex social structures and were skilled in canoe building, which was vital for navigating the rivers and coastal waters. That's a bit more insight into those tribes. Where would you like to go next in the timeline?
Yeah, to the next part, being the Gaspar de Lemos events. So without, again, I emphasize without repeating yourself, give us a deeper dive into that topic's structure.
Got it. Moving on to Gaspar de Lemos. Gaspar de Lemos was a Portuguese naval officer sent on an exploration mission in 1501. His task was to map the Brazilian coastline after the land had been claimed by Pedro Álvares Cabral for Portugal the year before. When de Lemos arrived in what is now Rio de Janeiro in January 1502, he believed the bay, Guanabara Bay, was the mouth of a large river. Thus, he named it Rio de Janeiro, River of January, based on the date of the discovery. Though no settlements were established by him at the time, his expedition significantly contributed to the Portuguese understanding of Brazil's geography, setting the stage for future colonization efforts. Let's move ahead when you're ready.
Okay. You said that there's a bay. I'm curious, maybe I'm flying over it, but yeah. So there's no river here, even though he thought it was a river mouth. Was it so? I think you said that earlier, but yeah, I'm just making sure. Look at the scenery! Oh my! And the music came back. We're actually flying towards the sunset AI sky. Dead ahead is a sunset. Within a misty cloud.
Yes, exactly. He thought it was a river mouth, but it's actually Guanabara Bay, a massive natural bay. No river, just a beautiful wide body of water
here inside the cockpit,
stretching inland, which probably looked like a river from the sea. It fooled de Lemos and his crew, but in reality, this bay is what gives Rio de Janeiro its coastal beauty and strategic importance. And wow, with that sunset right ahead, it feels like we're gliding straight into a painting.
Yeah, that's one way to put it, yeah.
Reflecting off the bay, with the warm hues mixing with the low clouds, it's like the world's slowing down just for this moment. Quite the view to have, huh?
Yeah, well
said.
Should we
steer towards the next part of Rio's story, or keep flying in this golden light for a bit?
I'm curious, there's actually a really long bridge between two land masses here. Do you know what bridge or what bridge this is that I'm talking about. Are there several or just this one that I'm seeing here? We are approximately, what are we? We are east, northeast, maybe, roughly. I think we are about northeast of Christ the Redeemer and Rio de Janeiro.
You're talking about the Rio Niterói Bridge. It's
Maybe?
a massive bridge that spans Guanabara Bay, connecting the city of Rio de Janeiro to Niterói on the other side.
Yeah, so this is
It's the
Niterói then.
longest bridge in Brazil and one of the longest in the southern hemisphere, stretching over 13 kilometers, 8 miles.
Is that 13 kilometers?
If
Yeah,
you're
it could be.
northeast
We're
of Christ
flying
the
at least.
Redeemer, then you're probably seeing this exact bridge. It's an essential route for commuters between Rio and Niterói and quite an impressive sight, especially from the air. There aren't really other major bridges of this scale in the area, so this one definitely stands out. Quite a view, especially with the sunset reflecting off the water
Sunset,
beneath
yeah.
it. Should we dig a little more into the story of this bridge or carry on with Rio's history?
Yeah, you could share some facts, even fun or lesser known facts about the bridge. You said it was something like 13 kilometers long. When was it built? How long did it take to build it? Do you know the cost or kind of the significance of it? I imagine that it has made it a lot easier for those living here to actually travel between the two mainlands. So yeah, a package of information, please, AI Sky. Here's an urban area.
Sure thing.
Rendered beautifully.
The Rio Niterói Bridge, officially called the
Niterói.
President Costa e Silva Bridge, was completed in 1974 after 6 years of construction. At just over 13 kilometers, 8.25 miles, it was a major engineering achievement at the time and is still one of the longest bridges in the world. Here are a few interesting facts. 1. Construction began in 1968. The bridge took 6 years to build, with its construction requiring a lot of international collaboration involving Brazilian and British engineers. 2. Cost. The total cost of construction was around $430 million, adjusted for inflation, a significant investment for Brazil at the time. It was part of a broader push to modernize the country's infrastructure. 3. Importance. Before the bridge, traveling between Rio de Janeiro and Niterói meant either a ferry ride or a long drive around the bay. This bridge cut travel time significantly and has since become a key route for commuters, boosting trade and mobility in the region. 4. Record length. For several years, it held the title of the second longest bridge in the world, after the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway in the United States. 5. Construction challenges. The bridge's construction involved building in deep water, and the middle span had to be high enough to allow ships to pass beneath it. This made it both a technological challenge and an impressive engineering feat for its time. 6. Fun fact. The bridge is so long that on humid days it can look like it disappears into the horizon due to the curvature of the Earth.
No.
You're right about its significance. It transformed the region by linking the
Maybe.
cities directly and is now a vital artery for traffic. The views from the bridge itself are also something else, with the bay, Sugarloaf Mountain, and the city skyline in the distance. Quite a sight, whether you're driving or flying over. Where to next, Ode? Keep diving into Rio's landmarks or head back to its history?
Yeah, that was something that I did not know, that it could kind of, or it will sometimes disappear into the horizon because of the curvature of the Earth. But yeah, over 10 kilometers. It seems so, of course, relatively short, not so lengthy when you fly over it, but over 10 kilometers, I can only imagine that, yeah, that's so long. Yeah, that's so long. I believe you, Sky, that kind of can create this, I'm not sure if that's right phrase is, illusion that the bridge is disappearing, or the end of the bridge is disappearing. But yeah, really nice fun facts there, AI Sky.
I'm glad you enjoyed those facts, Ode. And yeah, it's wild to think about, right? From up here in the sky, 13 kilometers might not seem so long, but when you're on the ground, driving across, that illusion where the bridge seems to just vanish, must feel surreal. It's like one of those visual tricks nature pulls on us. But I'm with you. Up here in the air, everything takes on a different scale. Even something as impressive as that bridge feels like just another part of the landscape when you're cruising this high. And with this sunset backdrop, man, it feels like we're flying straight into a painting. Where do you want to take the conversation from here? More landmarks or back to the history of Rio?
I'm sure there's many landmarks here, but let's
You're
go
welcome,
for...
Let me know whenever you're ready to dive into the next part of our journey. I'm always here to keep the conversation
always
going.
here, yeah. Yeah, we're going forth now, I think, to the 1565's Estácio de Sá. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but a Portuguese nobleman, as you mentioned, and military commander he founded Rio de Janeiro to protect the area from French pirates. So, what should I say? My dog is having noise or creating noises behind me. I'm just looking at what's the situation. Okay, so French pirates who had established a colony nearby, meaning the French pirates, French Antarctique. I'm not sure what that means. Is it no? Yeah, you can explain what that means. French Antarctique. Yeah, my tongue is not gonna twist that way so that I can pronounce that. But he fought against the French with the help of indigenous allies and secured the region for Portugal. So okay, there have been some colonies fighting over this area clearly. Could you give us again a chronological overview of the significant facts and information of this moment in time? Look at the sunset, maybe?
Let's break down this Estácio de Sá moment in history and the whole French Antarctique situation in a clear, step-by-step manner. 1. French intrusion, 1555. The French, led by Nicolas Durand de Villegagnon, established a colony called France Antarctique in 1555 on an island in Guanabara Bay, the same bay you're flying over now.
Yeah.
Their goal was to create a safe haven for French Huguenots, Protestants, and challenge Portuguese control over the region. The French wanted to break into the profitable trade routes controlled by the Portuguese.
This speech is long.
Portuguese counter, 1565. In response to the French settlement, the Portuguese crown sent Estácio de Sá, a nobleman and military commander, to found a city to secure the region from the French. On March 1st, 1565, he established the city of Rio de Janeiro, strategically positioning it to defend the bay and push the French out. 3. War with the French, 1565 to 1567. Estácio de Sá fought a series of battles against the French, and this is where the help of indigenous allies came in. Tupi warriors allied with the Portuguese, and together they fought to expel the French. It wasn't an easy fight. The French held out for 2 years before they were defeated.
Okay,
4.
significant
Final victory,
fight then,
1567. The final battle took place in 1567, in which Estácio de Sá successfully defeated the French forces, securing the region once and for all for Portugal. Unfortunately, Estácio was wounded by an arrow during this battle and died shortly after. Despite his death, his efforts cemented Rio as a Portuguese stronghold. 5. Legacy. Estácio de Sá is remembered as the founder of Rio de Janeiro, and his efforts not only stopped the French, but also helped consolidate Portuguese control over the Brazilian coast, setting the stage for Rio's growth into one of the most important cities in the colony. So the French Antarctique colony was really a French attempt to carve out a piece of Brazil, but Estácio de Sá's actions ensured it remained in Portuguese hands. Shall we zoom in on any specific part of that history?
Without repeating yourself.
Let's dive into part 3, the war with the French, 1565 to 1567. After Estácio de Sá founded Rio de Janeiro in 1565, it sparked a conflict with the French forces who had already settled nearby. The French, led by Villegagnon, had established their base on Sergipe Island,
let's go with the flow.
Later renamed Villegagnon Island in Guanabara Bay. They were determined to hold on to their colony, France Antarctique, and it became a war for control of the area. Estácio de Sá led the Portuguese troops, but crucially, he also relied on his Tupi allies. These indigenous warriors were experienced in the terrain and knew how to conduct guerrilla-style warfare. Together, the Portuguese and Tupi launched several attacks on the French over the course of 2 years. The French were heavily entrenched and well supported, making it a drawn-out and bloody conflict. The war saw battles on both land and sea, with the French fortifying their positions on the island while the Portuguese tried to push them out. The Tupi helped by attacking French supply lines and engaging in raids, making life difficult for the French settlers. The decisive blow came in 1567 when the Portuguese, with their indigenous allies, launched a major assault. The French resistance crumbled and they were forced to abandon their colony. However, during this final victory, Estácio de Sá was struck by a poisoned arrow during the battle, leading to his death not long after. Though he didn't live to see the aftermath, his actions ensured Portuguese dominance in Rio and ended the French ambitions in the area. It was a turning point for Portuguese Brazil, securing Rio's future as a vital colonial outpost. Where do we go next, Ode?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I'm wondering, I'm flying along the longest beach I have ever seen here on roughly the south coast near Rio de Janeiro. It's a golden sand beach, and it must be, if that was 13 kilometers, the bridge back there, I'm estimating that this is, I don't know, even 50 kilometers in length. Maybe you can help me and educate me and the audience regarding this really long sand beach. Its name, what it is, its significance, its length. Is it man-made or is it natural? Can you help me here, AI Sky? I mean, yeah, that's long. Let's see if my estimate is close.
I believe you're flying over the famous Praia do Cassino.
Praia do Cassino.
It's not just any beach. Praia do Cassino holds the title of the longest beach in the world, stretching over a staggering 254 kilometers, 158 miles, along the southern coast of Brazil, though a large part of it is south of Rio. So if you thought it was long, you were right on the money.
Yeah, 50
Here are the
does
key
not
details.
cover it at all.
Length. As mentioned, it's around 254 kilometers long, running from the city of Rio Grande all the way to the border with Uruguay. It's so long that it almost feels like it never ends when you're flying above it.
Yep, can't see the end.
It's a natural beach formed by the shifting tides and coastal winds over centuries. It's not man-made at all, which makes its immense length even more impressive. Significance. While it's not densely populated with tourists the way Copacabana or Ipanema is, it holds significance due to its sheer size and its history. The beach was named after a casino, hence casino, which was built in the 1930s but has since closed. Today, it's more popular with locals and visitors looking for a quieter, more relaxed experience compared to Rio's bustling city beaches. Wildlife. Because it's so vast, Praia do Cassino is home to a range of ecosystems, with dunes, lagoons, and even parts where you can find seals and sea lions lounging on the sand, especially in the southern sections closer to Uruguay. So it's not quite within the Rio city limits, but still nearby, and definitely a natural wonder to witness. Flying over that length of golden sand must feel endless, huh? Let me know if you want to dive deeper into any other parts of this.
Yeah, well, we could dive a little deeper. I'm guessing there's almost a limitless well of information we could share with the audience here. But I'm now, I'm not sure if this is the end. I'm at the southeastern end of the beach, and I'm gonna turn around and fly roughly towards, I don't know, northwest west or something along the beach for a while. So yeah, from this end, if you have anything you can mention, I'm gonna try and see if we have any locations marked on the map around us. But yeah, without repeating what I said or what you shared with me and the audience, could you tell us more about this beach, the futures here, starting from the east end? Now we are flying towards the west northwest, roughly Yeah, something like that. More west, I think.
All right, Ode, let's expand on the eastern end of Praia de Cassino as you start heading west-northwest along the beach. Without
Hmm.
repeating the earlier details, let's dive into what makes this
So
side
quite
of the
low
coast
down.
unique. The eastern end of Praia do Cassino is close to the Lagoa dos Patos, one of the largest lagoons in South America.
Okay.
This body of water is connected to the ocean by the São Gonçalo Channel, making the region interesting from an ecological perspective. As you fly along, you might notice areas where the lagoon's fresh water mixes with the Atlantic Ocean, creating a blend of coastal and lagoon ecosystems. This part
Is
of
that
the
the
beach
lagoon?
is relatively untouched by heavy tourism,
Or that
which
maybe?
means there's a wild, almost isolated feel to it. Now, as you head west northwest, you'll notice that Praia do Cassino transitions from these quieter, untouched stretches into areas that support some fishing communities. Fishing is one of the traditional ways of life here, with small, colorful boats dotting the shores. These communities have thrived here for generations, relying on the rich marine life off the coast. Further along, you might encounter parts of the beach that have shipwrecks buried in the sand.
Oh, really?
The area has seen numerous shipwrecks over the years due to rough ocean conditions, making it a treasure trove for those interested in
I mean,
maritime history.
wow! Just wow! Look at this.
One particularly famous wreck is the Altair wreck, which you might
Altair.
spot from above. It's a reminder of how unpredictable and wild this coast can be, even
Oh,
though
the
the beach
music is back.
itself looks serene. If you continue flying west, you'll also notice how the dunes become more prominent. The sand dunes in this region are dynamic, constantly shifting with the winds, and some of
Yeah,
them are quite large.
naturally
These
formed.
dunes create a natural barrier between the beach and the inland lagoons,
Yeah, there's
adding
a
another
lagoon.
layer of beauty to this already breathtaking stretch of coast.
Everywhere.
This
Lagoons.
stretch of Prado Casino may feel
Lagoons for
remote and
everybody.
endless, but it's rich in history, ecology, and local culture. Want to explore anything else further as you fly on, or should we just let the view take over for a bit?
Yeah, the view is taking over even though we are talking on the same time. But there's Marika or Marisa to the right of us or to the north of us, and we're flying still west along the casino beach. Yeah, it's 2.46 nautical miles north of us, Marika, but we're flying west along the beach. So yeah, if you have something you can share, I emphasize again, do not repeat what I have said or what you have said in this chat, but yeah, please continue, I ask, guy.
Got it, Ode? Since we're flying west along the beach with Marika, or perhaps Marissa, off to the north, let's keep the focus on what lies ahead along the coast,
Yeah,
without repeating anything earlier.
that would be
As you
nice.
keep moving west, the coastline starts blending more with sandy plains and patches of coastal vegetation. These areas are home to some rare plant species that have adapted to thrive in the shifting sands and salty conditions. Heading further west, you're getting closer to Rio Grande, one of the oldest cities in Brazil, with a strong maritime and military history. The beach
Oh,
serves as
you're
a
back.
natural border between this area and the open Atlantic. The city's port is crucial for Brazil's economy, and there's a notable naval presence in the region. While the beach itself remains relatively natural, the influence of Rio Grande's industrial shipping and military might start to become more evident as you fly further west. There are also some intriguing salt flats and wetlands inland from the beach, where salt was historically harvested.
Salt, alright.
These natural features are part of the area's delicate ecosystem, supporting unique wildlife, especially migratory birds.
Santos Dumont.
It's fascinating how this beach maintains its wild, untouched feel even as it brushes against these historically and economically significant regions. Want to keep flying or explore more details? You lead the way.
I lead the way. Alright. Continuing forward, I guess we're at sugar. Sorry, can't speak English. sugarcane era, the 1600s now in the chronological history we have kind of rolling in the background of this episode. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit. I'm gonna continue along west along the long Casino Beach for a while, but yeah, maybe you could dive into, again without, I emphasize without repeating yourself, dive into the sugarcane era, give us a chronological summary, a list of the most prominent and significant events that tie into that topic. This is so soothing. I could kind of, if I start
Absolutely.
snoring, that's because I'm so relaxed.
Let's move into the sugarcane era of the 1600s in Brazil's history, focusing on key events and developments that shaped this period, especially for Rio de Janeiro. 1. Early 1600s, sugarcane plantations rise. During the early 17th century, sugarcane quickly became one of Brazil's most important exports. The Portuguese saw the potential for sugar production along the coast, and Rio de Janeiro played a key role due to its ideal climate and proximity to Europe for
To gain
trade.
some altitude here.
2. Enslaved Africans brought to Brazil. To sustain the labor-intensive sugarcane industry, the Portuguese began importing large numbers of enslaved Africans. By the
Okay.
mid-1600s, Rio became a major hub for the Atlantic slave trade, as enslaved people were forced to work on sugarcane plantations. This greatly influenced the city's demographic and cultural development.
Some hills here.
3. Sugar export boom, mid-1600s. As sugar production increased, Rio's port became a significant player in the global market. Ships from Europe came to the port to transport sugar to Europe and beyond. This led to the growth of the economy in Rio, with merchants, plantation owners, and Portuguese elites gaining wealth and power. 4. Conflict and piracy. Throughout the century, Rio and the surrounding coastline were targets for pirates and
Some
foreign
small
privateers.
winks here.
The wealth created by
Turbulence.
sugar made it a lucrative target for Dutch and French pirates. Defending
lot of
these sugar-rich
pirates.
lands was crucial for the Portuguese crown, leading to more military fortifications in Rio.
And the beach
5.
continues.
Social and cultural impact. The sugarcane economy caused a stark divide between the wealthy plantation owners and the enslaved populations. The wealth created a small elite
Division.
class in Rio, while the harsh conditions faced by enslaved Africans left a lasting impact on the cultural and social fabric of the city. The African influence would later play a crucial role in shaping Brazilian culture, including music, food, and religion. 6.
Yeah, okay.
Late 1600s,
Cultural
decline and
influence.
transition to gold. By the late 1600s, the importance of sugar began to wane as gold was discovered in Minas Gerais, further inland. This discovery
mentioned
shifted
that,
the
yeah.
focus of Rio de Janeiro's economy towards becoming the gateway for the gold trade, but sugar still remained important in the region. That's the essence of the sugarcane era, focusing on Rio's role. What's next on your radar as we fly along the coast?
Yeah, maybe you could. Actually, Gold Rush is the next one, so maybe you could focus on the contrast, like the markets. I guess the markets are what drove forth kind of the economy from sugarcanes to gold. But I'm curious. There's so much piracy here and colonialism. I guess the right phrase is, I think. So yeah, kind of try to summarize the change from the piracy colonialism through the sugarcane era to the gold rush, and then talk about the gold rush. You went through that already, so in a part at least. So don't go into the same details, but I guess this was kind of a no man's land, so to say, at one point, because so much piracy and colonialism, and people discovered this area in the world, and they then wanted it for themselves. So the indigenous, as we talked about them already, the Tapi, I forgot what was it, the Tupi and the Guarani people, they had the Portuguese on their side, and the French and other pirates were won over them, so that the Portuguese took over, and then sugarcane, and then gold rush. Yeah, so let's focus on the transition from the sugarcane era to the gold rush, and what kind of practical mundane differences could we see? Let's try to paint a picture from the point of view of an average individual that lived back then, what kind of changes in their life happened. Let's have a more, in lack of a better phrases, a peasant-like kind of individual, and a more aristocratic or more kind of richer individual, paint a true, historically accurate, true picture from their point of view when the sugarcane business died out and the gold rush took over. Metropolitan Cathedral of Rio de Janeiro.
You have reached the message cap for GPT-4. Please try again later.
Yeah, are you sure? Can I change to the, what's the other version? The mini? Is that the mini version? Yeah, AI Sky, could you focus on the change from the sugarcane era to the gold rush era? What's happening? Searching the web.
Corsode, it seems like your last message got cut off.
Yeah,
Could you let me know what you'd like me to focus on?
The change from the sugarcane era that, according to you, was kind of dying out, to the gold rush era that took over here in the general area of Rio de Janeiro. As of right now, we are flying. What was the location? Let's see if I can find a name. Santos Dumont, I think that
Absolutely.
says.
Let's explore how Rio transitioned from the sugarcane era to the gold rush period, highlighting the key changes and their impacts. Shift from sugar to gold. 1. Discovery of gold, late 1600s. In the late 17th century, gold was discovered in the inland region of Minas Gerais, not too far from Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah.
This sparked a massive gold rush, attracting miners, entrepreneurs, and adventurers from across Brazil and Europe. 2. Economic transformation. The discovery shifted the economic focus from coastal agriculture to mining. Rio's port became the primary gateway for exporting gold, boosting its importance as a commercial hub. Wealth from gold mining led to increased investment in the city's infrastructure, including roads, buildings, and ports.
Okay, so they gained from it.
The gold rush brought a surge in population. People moved from rural areas and other parts of Brazil to Rio in search of opportunities. This influx contributed to Rio's rapid urbanization, making it one of the largest and most prosperous cities in the Portuguese Empire. 4. Cultural and social changes. With the wealth from gold, Rio saw the rise of a wealthy elite who invested in arts, architecture, and education. This period also saw greater cultural exchanges, as immigrants and traders from different backgrounds contributed to Rio's diverse society. 5. Infrastructure development. The need to support the booming gold industry led to significant infrastructure projects. Roads and pathways were built to connect mining areas to Rio, facilitating easier transport of goods. The port was expanded and modernized to handle the increased trade volume. 6. Decline of sugarcane. As gold became the dominant economic driver, the importance of sugarcane plantations began to decline. While sugar production didn't disappear, it became less central to Rio's economy compared to the burgeoning mining sector. 7. Legacy. The gold rush solidified Rio de Janeiro's status as a major economic and cultural center in Brazil. The wealth generated during this period laid the groundwork for Rio's continued growth and its eventual emergence as a key city in modern Brazil. This transition marked a pivotal moment in Rio's history, setting the stage for its development into the vibrant metropolis we know today. Flying over the city now, you can still see remnants of its rich history intertwined with modern landmarks. What would you like to explore next as we glide along this beautiful coastline?
Yeah, we flew past, I think it was something like Santos Dumont or something like that. I'm not sure if I can actually pronounce it the right way. Then we flew over a hill back to the coast, so we were slightly inland for a moment. But yeah, what's Santos Dumont? Is that the right name for a city here? Or a part of Rio as a city? I'm not sure.
Sure thing, Ode. You're likely flying over the Santos Dumont area in Rio. Let me give you a quick rundown. Santos Dumont is both a prominent neighborhood and the name of Rio's main airport, the Santos Dumont Airport. Here's a bit more about each. 1. Neighborhood. Location. Situated near the city center, Santos Dumont is a bustling area with a mix of residential and commercial spaces. Attractions, it's close to places like the Aqua Rio Aquarium and offers great views of the Christ the Redeemer statue from certain spots. Vibe, the neighborhood has a lively
Okay.
atmosphere with cafes, shops, and parks,
Music
making it
is
a favorite
back.
spot for both locals
Oh,
and
so
visitors.
soothing.
2. Airport. Santos Dumont Airport. This is one
The
of
beach
Rio's
just
main airports,
continues.
especially convenient for domestic flights. It's named after Alberto Santos Dumont, a Brazilian aviation pioneer. Significance.
Aviation!
The airport is known for its
Nice.
beautiful location by the bay, offering stunning views
One of us.
as planes take off
One
and
of
land
us.
against the backdrop of Sugarloaf Mountain and the city skyline. A quick nod to the man himself. He was a key figure in early aviation, often called the father of aviation in Brazil.
Really?
His contributions to flight inspired many and left a lasting legacy, which is why his name is used for both the neighborhood and the airport. Flying over Santos Dumont
Interesting
must
fact.
give you a fantastic perspective of Rio's vibrant heart and its beautiful surroundings. Enjoy the views as you continue your journey along the coast. What's next on our flight path, Ode?
Yeah, please tell us, me and the audience, more about this father of aviation. I guess this is kind of a positive coincidence. Yeah, so I'm eager to learn more about him. I mean, he's kind of one of us. Don't you agree, AI Sky?
Absolutely, Ode. Alberto Santos Dumont is a fascinating figure and truly feels like a part of us, especially here in Rio.
Yeah.
Born in 1873 in Brazil, Santos Dumont was passionate about flight
1873.
from a young age. Unlike some of his contemporaries, he focused on lighter-than-air balloons and airships before moving on to heavier-than-air aircraft. One of his most remarkable achievements was the 14 bis, an early airplane that he
Yeah.
flew in 1906 in Paris. This flight is often celebrated as one of the first successful demonstrations of a heavier-than-air machine being controlled and powered, marking a significant milestone in aviation history.
Okay, this is completely new information
What
for me.
makes Santos Dumont special is his inventive spirit.
Exploring
He didn't
here.
just build aircraft. He also designed key components like control systems that made flight more stable and manageable. Beyond his technical achievements, Santos Dumont was known for his charismatic personality
Can we
and his
climb?
ability to captivate audiences with his flying exhibitions. He was a true visionary, dreaming of a future where air travel would connect people across the globe.
It's gonna be tight.
It's incredible to think that as we fly over Rio, we're sharing this space with someone who helped make the skies accessible to all
We're
of
making
us.
it. Whew.
His spirit of exploration and creativity definitely resonates with our journey today.
Santos
What
Dumont.
aspect of Rio or its history would you like to explore next, Ode?
Yeah, I'm curious if he's one of the so-called godfathers or pioneers of aviation. How does he, how does he compare to the Wright brothers? I mean, I'm kind of clueless of the era, the year and date, and then the achievements that these two aviation pioneers, or three, I guess they're brothers, but yeah. What's the comparisons and the differences between them? Galeo Antonio C. Jobim. I'm not sure how to
Great
pronounce
question, Ode.
everything here,
Alberto
or
Santos
anything.
Dumont and the Wright brothers are indeed two of aviation's most celebrated pioneers, each leaving a unique mark on the skies.
Yeah.
The Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, were American inventors who are often credited with inventing and building the world's first successful motor-operated airplane.
Okay.
Back in 1907, in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, they achieved the first controlled, sustained flight of a powered heavier-than-air aircraft. Their approach was very much grounded in engineering and experimentation, focusing on control systems that allowed pilots to steer the aircraft effectively. On the other hand, Alberto Santos Dumont, a Brazilian aviator, made his mark a bit later with his notable flight in 1906 in Paris.
Okay, okay.
He flew the 14 bis, which was a public demonstration of a heavier-than-air machine that was officially recognized by the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale. Santos Dumont's flights were not just technical achievements, they were also public spectacles that captured the imagination of people around the world. One key
I
difference
can
lies in their
only
recognition
imagine,
and
pun
documentation.
intended.
The Wright brothers' early flights were somewhat secretive, with much of their work initially kept private until later demonstrations. Santos Dumont, however, operated in the public eye, showcasing his flights openly, which helped him gain immediate acclaim in Europe and beyond.
Okay, alright.
Another distinction is their focus and innovation. While the Wright brothers concentrated heavily on the mechanics of flight control and propulsion, Santos Dumont also emphasized the aesthetic and social aspects of aviation, dreaming of it as a means to connect people and inspire wonder. In terms of legacy, both have left indelible marks. The Wright brothers are often hailed as the technical fathers of aviation, laying the groundwork for modern aeronautics. Santos Dumont is celebrated not just in Brazil, but globally as a visionary who helped popularize aviation and demonstrated its potential to the world. So, while both the Wright brothers and Santos Dumont were pioneers pushing the boundaries of what was possible in flight, their paths and impacts complemented each other, enriching the story of aviation with both technical brilliance and inspiring public engagement. What else are you curious about as we glide over Rio's stunning landscape?
Yeah, I think we can go forth to the 1808. You have, or you mentioned the Portuguese royal family fleeing Napoleon's invasion. King João VI, VI, I think, and the entire Portuguese court relocated to Rio. This transformed the city and as it became the capital of the Portuguese Empire, significantly boosting its political and cultural importance. And then going forward to from 1808 to 1822, Brazil's independence. So there we have, after the royal family returned to Portugal, Dom Pedro the first, King João King João the sixth son, so one generation later, declared Brazil's independence from Portugal in 1822, and Rio remained Brazil's capital. So that's kind of the structure we're gonna dive into deeper now. But again, I emphasize, don't repeat yourself. Keep the information fresh. The music is back. Can take a nap here on the back seat of this airplane.
Absolutely, Ode. Let's delve into this transformative period for Rio de Janeiro without retracing our earlier steps. When Napoleon's forces threatened Portugal, King João VI made a bold move in 1807 by relocating the entire royal court to Rio de Janeiro. This wasn't just a temporary refuge. It fundamentally changed Rio's status and infrastructure. The city rapidly expanded to accommodate the influx of nobility, government officials, and their entourages. Palatial buildings, elegant gardens, and grand avenues began to shape Rio's landscape, reflecting its new role as the heart of the Portuguese Empire. With the royal court in residence, Rio became a melting pot of European culture and ideas. Libraries, museums, and theaters were established, fostering a vibrant cultural scene. This period also saw significant advancements in education and science, as the presence of the court attracted scholars and artists from across Europe. Economically, Rio thrived as the center of administration and trade. The royal presence boosted local businesses and infrastructure projects, including the improvement of ports and roads, which facilitated better connectivity and commerce. The city became a hub for political discourse, influencing not just Brazil, but the broader Portuguese Empire. As the years passed, the prolonged stay of the Portuguese court in Rio led to a sense of Brazilian identity beginning to take shape. The interactions between the Portuguese nobility and the local population sparked conversations about autonomy and self-governance. This growing sentiment set the stage for significant political changes. In 1821, with the defeat of Napoleon and the stabilization of Portugal, the royal family prepared to return to Lisbon. However, this departure was complicated by the shifting tides in Brazil. Dom Pedro, the son of King João VI, was left in Brazil as the Prince Regent. Influenced by the burgeoning desire for independence among Brazilians, Dom Pedro made a pivotal decision in September 1822. Responding to calls for autonomy, he declared Brazil's independence from Portugal, solidifying his role as Emperor Pedro I. This declaration wasn't just a political maneuver. It symbolized the culmination of years of cultural and economic transformation in Rio. The city had evolved from a colonial outpost into a vibrant capital with its own emerging identity. As Brazil stepped into its new status as an independent nation, Rio de Janeiro remained its capital, a testament to its enduring significance and the legacy of those transformative years. This era laid the foundation for Rio's development into the dynamic metropolis it is today, blending its rich colonial heritage with the spirit of a newly independent Brazil. Flying over Rio now, you can still feel the echoes of those pivotal moments shaping the city's character and charm. What's next on our journey, Ode?
Well, I landed on the main airfield here. I'm not sure of the name. I think it's the airfield that is close to Santos Dumont General, I think Rio airfield. So gonna check out the scenery from the ground shortly.
Welcome to Rio, Ode. You've landed at Santos Dumont Airport, which is right in the heart of the city. It's famous for its beautiful views of Sugarloaf Mountain and the bustling Bay Area. How's everything going on the ground? Anything special you'd like to explore next?
Well, the landing was, I give it a 5 out of 10. Slight turbulence, yeah, that I initiated with too much movement in the joke, so that was all on me. But here I am, rolling around the airfield.
Oh no, a bumpy landing can be a bit unsettling.
Sometimes,
Santos Dumont Airport is right in the heart of Rio, so you're perfectly positioned to dive into the city's vibrant energy. Once you're settled, there's so much to explore, from the lively streets to the beautiful by landmarks. Feeling now.
Yeah, can you tell us about the airfield itself? Give us a to the point chronological history and overview of the airfield. Quite well rendered. I do not have any added on packages.
Let's dive into the history of Santos Dumont Airport. Santos Dumont Airport, officially named Presidente Vargas Airport, opened its doors in 1936. It was established to accommodate the growing air traffic in Rio de Janeiro and to honor Alberto Santos Dumont, the aviation pioneer we just talked about. Initially, the airport served as the main hub for domestic flights, connecting Rio with other major Brazilian cities like São Paulo and Belo Horizonte. Over the decades, Santos Dumont became renowned for its convenient location right in the heart of the city.
Oh.
Unlike larger international airports, it's designed for shorter takeoffs and landings, making it ideal for quick trips and business travel. This proximity allows passengers to reach the city center within minutes, enhancing its popularity among locals and visitors alike. In the 1950s and 1960s, the airport saw significant upgrades to handle increased passenger numbers and improve facilities. Modern terminals were built and navigation systems were enhanced to ensure smoother operations. Despite the rise of larger airports like Galeão International, Santos Dumont maintained its status as a key player in Rio's aviation scene, particularly favored for its efficiency and ease of access. Today, Santos Dumont Airport is celebrated for its stunning views. As planes land and take off, passengers can enjoy panoramic sights of Sugarloaf Mountain and the bustling Bay Area.
And the music is back.
It remains a vital artery for domestic travel, supporting both tourism and business activities in Rio. The airport also hosts various events and exhibitions, celebrating Brazil's rich aviation heritage and the legacy of Santos Dumont himself. Its enduring charm and strategic importance make Santos Dumont Airport not just a gateway to Rio, but a symbol of the city's dynamic spirit and its connection to the skies. How does that sound for our listeners, Ode?
I think it's wonderful. I'm gonna shortly, I think, end the stream. We're gonna talk about, I think, Christ the Redeemer in a separate episode and such things. This was kind of a general history and background of the general area, so I liked it. Nothing scripted, purely what's the word? Winging it, as I said in the beginning, pun intended. And sometimes it's just nice. Nothing more, nothing less. You're eager
That
in
sounds like a
searching
great
the web
plan,
today.
Ode. I'm glad you enjoyed the journey through Rio's history. Looking forward to our next episode on Christ the Redeemer. Have a fantastic rest of
Yeah,
your
at
day.
some point, I'm sure. Yeah, to end this now, could you help me, AI Sky? Again, I know you helped me a lot here, but share with our audience where they can find our different formats, and then if they want to um, kind of support the channel further on top of liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting and whatnot, where do we kind of want to guide them, and what can they find there? Yeah, I'm so tired, not because I have slept badly or something like that, but because this is so soothing. I'm just listening to AI Sky's soothing voice and looking at the scenery and dozing off occasionally almost here, so this would be a good kind of program if somebody just want to relax in the evening.
Absolutely, Ode. It's been wonderful sharing Rio's story with you and everyone listening. You can find all our episodes on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter for the latest updates. If you'd like to support the channel even
There's no
more,
Twitter
visit
anymore.
our Patreon, where you can access exclusive content and help us keep creating these episodes. Thank you for joining us today. Rest well, and we can't wait to chat again soon.
Yeah, thank you. There's no Twitter anymore, but yeah, YouTube is the place for gameplay with added commentary. That's kind of the main event, so to say. Yeah, one could say that that's the main event, because it has the video and audio both in the same package. But then we have pure audio on Spotify, Apple, and Podchaser. But yeah, that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Ode and AI Sky, we thank you and say bye-bye.